Well, Troy, you obviously are an older gentleman. You've retired. You've lived a long life in the gaming industry. Not in the games
Yes.
journalism side, to be fair, but if you were the editor in chief of one of these gaming sites and one of your employees was credibly accused of ethical violations, what would you have done?
I think we would need to immediately, especially for credibly accused, you got to open an investigation. You got to get in and find out what happened. Um, and then if these credible, accusations turn out to be bad, then yeah, you got to turn it over to, if it's bad enough, you turn it over to law enforcement or whatever the case may be. Yeah, I see no problem with pursuing credible accusations against people, right? I think people need to feel safe in their workspaces, and people need to feel safe to make uh, accusations if they, where something bad has happened.
Being on the developer side of things, did you see anything from the development studios or from the publishers that seemed like it was corrupt in the way they dealt with gaming websites?
Uh, so in one of my videos, I talked about a long-standing relationship between developers and the press, where you'd often give press junkets, right? You'd give key journalists special treatment. And I remember back when I worked at that single track that this happened fairly openly, where they would just invite people from the press out to Salt Lake City, Utah, take them up to a ski resort, spend the weekend, and then they would show them the game, right? So this sort of stuff's been going on in the industry for forever, right? But I think it's also something that's worthwhile calling out and saying we should be careful and cautious about getting too chummy. The press used to be an enthusiast press that was, I think, trying to connect gamers or players with their best products, and it's changed over time where it doesn't feel like it's so much about um, being about enthusiastic about the games anymore. Now it's about different, I don't know, different agendas and getting clicks.
Now, obviously, you were a developer for Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes.
That game did receive a little bit of criticism. Well, I guess it received a lot of criticism, actually. Let's not kid ourselves. From people who didn't like J.K. Rowling because they thought that she had made some comments they felt were transphobic. I don't even know all the comments that she made. I don't really care that much. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I think the movies are cool, but obviously your game received a lot of criticism. There was people being harassed if they live streamed playing the game. There were groups of people that would harass those people, um, and there was an attempt to boycott the game. How do you feel about all of that?
Oh yeah. Well, you know that the gaming press came after me too, right? That I ended up when I resigned from Avalanche during the development of Hogwarts Legacy. It was while the gaming press had launched those articles calling me out for my old videos about GamerGate and feminist frequency. So yeah, there was. It, I believe that there were folks within the gaming journalist space that wanted to go after J.K. Rowling so much that they were looking for something to stick onto Hogwarts Legacy to make kind of a story. And then, somebody drug up my old videos because they were dead, 3 years ago, and then started writing articles about me to try and get at J.K. Rowling and Hogwarts Legacy via me being some sort of alt-right troll or something, right? That they tried to make it look like I was uh, contributing to a really bad game in Hogwarts Legacy in some way. So my whole opinion on that is it was manufactured controversy. The whole thing about me, about J.K. Rowling, about the game itself, it was controversy that was being manufactured, um, really to try and prove, I think, by the gaming press that they were still in some way relevant, that they could still in some way influence the outcome of a game, of a high profile game like Hogwarts Legacy. And I believe what was really smart about the Hogwarts Legacy marketing team, after they saw how the gaming press had attacked me, I think that they made a cognizant choice to not really interface with the press as much anymore, and instead they started going directly to the fans. And when they went directly to the fans via their YouTube channel, via their Twitter, being inviting these YouTube um, what do they call these YouTube content creators who were covering Hogwarts Legacy, just fans, and invite them out to Avalanche. They created this new hype, this sense of goodwill around the game for players that didn't involve the gaming press at all. And so the gaming press is over there writing these articles about Hogwarts Legacy is bad and you shouldn't play it, and there's it's transphobic, or you're supporting J.K. Rowling, and so all the articles were one way, but the actual fan base was over there very eagerly awaiting the release of the game because they were interfacing directly with the developers at Avalanche and seeing the love for the game and seeing the love for the property. And for them, the J.K. Rowling issue was a non-issue because they didn't care. They just wanted to play the good game. And to me, that was in a way, it almost like proves that Gamergate was right all the way down the line, that at the end of the day, the gaming press doesn't have the influence that they think they do, um, or that they wish they had. That when developers and players interact directly, uh, that's when you get the magic, right? And I think Hogwarts Legacy kind of proves that they pushed the gaming press off to the side, and the game still became, a huge success despite gaming press outlets saying they weren't going to cover it and that it was fundamentally a bad game.
One more question on Hogwarts Legacy, I guess, and that's how do you think about separating the work from the creator of the work? For instance, let's say you're a fan of a musician, and that musician says something that you very strongly disagree with. Maybe you even think is bigoted in some way. Do you think it's reasonable for you to boycott that musician, or should that be a separate? Should you separate the politics from the creator?
Uh, in my case, in my personal opinion, almost always separate by a good long distance, right? Like, I feel that when somebody makes a piece of artwork, like say J.K. Rowling releases into the world the wonderful wizarding world, that it becomes after a while almost part of the culture, right? It becomes part of society. And so in a way she's gifted us with something very rich, and that then the fans and the culture have added to it, and it's become something marvelous. So if she has positions later in life that I completely disagree with, that doesn't mean that I have to throw away everything she ever did with the wizarding world. That is now ours, right? It's become part of culture, and the best way to I'd say pay respect to that is to treat the property with respect, like I think the Avalanche team did for Hogwarts Legacy. Is they treated Hogwarts Legacy, they treat it like a love letter to the fans, and completely ignored J.K. Rowling's positions or her politics and everything else, because it just didn't matter. It wasn't about her. It was about the game and the fans. And I think that's the proper way to deal with intellectual property. Is if there's any gatekeeping to be done, it's to respect your intellectual property when you're working on it, so that the fans get what they expect out of the game. And that's a good kind of gatekeeping.
Oh no, you worked for the big bad mouse, so I gotta ask. It's not even really GG related, but it's a pet issue of mine. How do you
Yeah.
feel about things entering the public domain sooner?
That's a good question. I don't know if I feel that well informed to answer. Um, it's weird to think of stuff like, because you're talking about like Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse entering the public domain,
Yeah,
and then Disney
they
keeps re-upping it. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, well, I think for something like Disney, they kind of have to do that. I don't know. That's a tricky question, and it's interesting that you brought that up because I met Warren Spector, and he worked on Epic Mickey, right? And Epic Mickey, actually, Avalanche helped out with Epic Mickey. And if you remember, the Epic Mickey game introduced a character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, or actually revived a character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And that was so that Disney could uh, what's that? Get control of that property again so that it didn't release into the public eye or whatever. They got it, I think, from Universal back to Disney. So anyway, I'm just kind of giving an example of like, Disney's very much about their intellectual property, and I actually have an eyewitness of them going after an intellectual property they used to hold, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, and bringing it back over for use in the Epic Mickey game. And if that were able to be released into the public eye or into what's that called? Just
Public domain.
what- public domain. Thank you. Yeah, into public domain like that. Yeah, then you wouldn't be able to make. Well, I guess you could make that game, but it wouldn't be a Disney game. So I don't know. That feels like a non-answer that I just don't feel well enough informed on that side of things to really know about what should be released into public domain and what should be held. Um, I tend to be kind of open source leaning, but at the same time, I recognize that people need to make money and be paid for their hard work. So it's a tricky question.
Yeah, I'm fine with copyright existing, but it's gotten so absurd where now it's like what, like 70 or 90 years, and after the author's death, and it's just it's ridiculous. I think
Yeah,
like at some point the work belongs to all of humanity, and this idea that we're going to be copywriting works for hundreds of years, which is the way we're heading as things currently stand, is just absurd. And I think that like imagine if Shakespeare's work wasn't in the public domain and nobody could
yeah,
access it unless you had to pay huge sums of money. And of course, I think you could still make work based off of Shakespeare's work. Like you can still make movies. They still do make movies inspired by Shakespeare and based on Shakespeare's plays. It's just that they're not that the person who makes the movie doesn't have exclusive rights to all of Shakespeare's work. So they can still make
right.
money
Yeah,
off of it in products, but we this is not GG related. We're gonna move on. Sorry.
yeah, but you know what? You're making a very compelling argument. I'm listening to you going, yeah, that all of that makes a lot of sense to me, and that you probably do want to sunset some sort of thing. And it's hard with Disney because Mickey Mouse is such a huge part that it's weird for them to think about giving that up. But then I think, yeah, your example of Shakespeare's a beautiful one. It would be weird to think that you know Shakespeare's owned by Disney or something. That'd be strange. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tachyon Blue. Thank you for watching another one of my GamerGate book video segments. Altogether, I've interviewed over 70 people involved with GamerGate, and I'm going to be launching a Kickstarter campaign in the coming weeks. So please, I need your support to help make this project a reality. I'm turning these 70 plus interviews into a multi volume series of books, the first volume of which is already completed. And so I'd like you to please stay tuned for more information about the Kickstarter. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and comment. More updates will be coming in the near future. Thank you, and take care.